I want to personally and formally, one more time, welcome everybody to this great event. Today is the second day of the Kano Girls Education Summit. I can see some of your faces from yesterday, very beautiful faces and smiling. And today is the second day of this event, and like yesterday, we have an amazing lineup of activities, from presentations to panels and other keynote addresses also, centered around the theme of this summit, which is investing in her future, advancing girls' education through equitable budgeting. One more time, I want to welcome you all, and please a round of applause for everybody that makes it here. Thank you. Your Excellencies, like we mentioned yesterday, this event has three ambitious objectives, core objectives. We'll learn about them more as we go into the items on our agenda. But then just one more time, just to introduce. The first objective is to deepen policy, financing, and accountability for girls' education in Kano State. The second objective is to amplify grassroots voices and tackle persistent barriers to girls' education in Kano State and Nigeria at large. And lastly, to foster partnerships and evidence-based action for sustainable impact. This event is part of the series of activities under the Bridging Access to Girls' Education Base project, which we are going to learn more about today. Let me start by acknowledging and welcoming the Honorable Minister of State for Education, who is ably represented by Assistant to the Honorable Minister on Partners, Project, and Programs. We're delighted to have you, ma'am. I also want to recognize the presence of a remarkable gentleman, an astute politician, an experienced administrator, in person of His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, Comrade Aminu Abdusalam Gwarzo. I also recognize the presence of the Honorable Commissioner of Education, Kano State, in person of Gwani Dr. Ali Haruna Mokoda. I also recognize the presence of Malam Tajuddin Gambo, who is a special advisor to His Excellency, the Governor of Kano State on education, and who is going to serve as our chairman of this gathering. I also recognize the presence of Malam Haladu Muhammad, who is the technical advisor to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State on education reform. I also recognize the presence of a Senior Special Assistant to the Executive Governor of Kano State on teacher training, Malam Yusuf Yanoku. Also the presence of the Special Assistant to the Special Advisor to the Governor on Vocational Education, Malam Habib El Yaqub. I also recognize the presence of representatives of various local government chairmen that are seated here. Equally, the presence of education secretaries, the state SBMC chairman, Malam Tijani Haladu Baraya. Also, a delegation from the high-level women advocate, Kano, represented by Hajia Mayuru Garko, who was equally here yesterday too. And then, at this juncture, last but not least, for now, are our amazing, remarkable, and brilliant students that are here, who are indeed the VIPs of the day today. From various schools, we recognize you also. We are gathered here for you, the girls. Everybody is here, the Honorable Minister, His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, the Honorable Commissioner, and everybody is here because of you. I equally recognize the presence of the Executive Director, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, in person of Sani Muhammad, a remarkable young man. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, today is going to be a continuation of what we had already started yesterday, even bigger and more packed with activities and speeches, like I mentioned earlier today. I'm going to read out our agenda, how the event is going to flow, and then after that, we move straight into the items of our agenda. We begin today with a national anthem and an opening prayer, after which we will take opening reflections from yesterday, after which we would have a welcome remark from the Executive Director, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. Then we will take a special remark by the Honorable Commissioner, and then we take the Summit Chair's remark, and then we take a few goodwill messages. After which, we'll take a testimonial from one of our brilliant students that is here, and then we take the Deputy Governor's speech and formal declaration of adoption and unveiling of the GRAPE framework that we're all here for. After that, we'll take a keynote address titled Investing in Her Future, Equitable Budgeting for Girls' Education Transformation. We'll take the lead paper. There's going to be a lead paper titled From Emergency to Reform, Sustaining the Gains in Girls' Education. And then we'll have our first panel of the day titled Sustaining Gains in Girls' Education. We'll have a spoken word performance, and then would move straight to a fireside chat that is going to discuss education and disability, realities and way forward. We'll break after that for lunch and prayers, and when we resume, we continue with our second lead paper for the day titled From Budget to Classroom, Making Education Spending Work for Girls. After that, we'd move to another presentation titled Empowering Girls, Transforming Communities, the Promise of the Girls' Education. We'd have our second panel immediately after that, titled Beyond Commitment, Ensuring Public Accountability and Monitoring in Girls' Education Financing. Next will be a cultural performance, and then after that, we take a presentation on the Gender Responsive Education Budgeting Framework that would be unveiled today at a glance. We'll take the closing remarks by the Summit Chair, and then the vote of thanks and closing prayers. We're expected to finish, by the grace of God, within the late hours of the afternoon. If there's any change in the agenda, I'm going to announce, by the grace of God. With this, we'll go straight into our items of the agenda. The first item is the national anthem and opening prayer. So may we all rise for the national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed.
The Deputy Governor of Kano State, person of Comrade Aminu Abdusalam Gorzo. Before I invite Malam Abubakar for the opening reflections, I have a request for you, sir. This is a personal request from me. You are a man of experience, and your experience goes way back, many decades, about 5 decades of experience in government, in policy, and all. Sir, I have a personal request that I want to, in my lifetime, read a book about you, an autobiography, a recollection of your experience, because I think you owe the next generation a recollection of your experience, how you were able to do that. So I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I want to get, this is a personal request. This is a personal request. This is a personal request, sir. And I hope to read it in the next few years by the grace of God. I won't give a time frame, but hopefully in the next few years, because we need that kind of guidance. So thank you so much, sir, for all you do. And thank you for being a quintessence of leadership and a very good example to young people like myself. Thank you so much. With no further ado, I would invite Madam Abubakar Umar to give us the opener reflection, which is going to be a recap of the first day, the activities that transpired yesterday. Opening prayers first. So I would invite the chairman of the summit committee, Dr. Yunusa Anas, to give us the opening prayer, please. Dr. Anas.
I'm having several names. Sallu ala Nabi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Hamidum Majid. Oh Allah, we seek your blessing in this sitting and make it one of the best sittings. May all the reflections and the presentations become valuable to girls in Kano and our future mothers. May the antecedents of all progress and successes come to continue to be in Kano. May Allah protect the state government, the people of Kano, and the girls in Kano. May Allah bless all the women in Kano 10 times polls they are doing. May Allah bless the men. May Allah continue to grace us the opportunity to support mothers, our daughters, and our children. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى ربنا قدر مكاننا وتعالى مخالنا ولا يكفى عليك شيء من أمرنا ربي يسرنا ولا تأسرنا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
Thank you so much. Another request I have to all of us also is we have a hashtag for the event today. We have social media handles at Bridge Connect Africa. We would want, please, for anybody that feels they want to, please share your experience, share your pictures and everything using the hashtag Kano Girls Education Summit 2025. We want this to go viral beyond the people that are physically seated here. We want everybody to also tap from the wealth of ideas, solutions, and other things that will be discussed today. So feel free to please do that. That being said, we'll now move to the opener reflection. I've seen, okay, Abubakar is here. Please, a round of applause for Abubakar Umar as he proceeds to give us the reflection, a recap of yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mala Ahmad. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, members of the High Table. This is a reflection of yesterday's event. The program started with an opening prayer by the Special Advisor to His Excellency on vocational education, who is Malam Habibu Hassan Yaqub. Then we took a brief overview and objectives of the summit by the moderator, who is Mal Ahmad. Then we had welcome address, which was delivered by the Chief Operations Officer, Fatima Musa Aliyu, on behalf of the Executive Director, Bridge Connect. And then we had welcome address and opening remark by the Honorable Commissioner of Education, Gwani Dr. Ali Haruna Makoda. And then we had a remark by the Summit Chair, who is Special Advisor on Technical Reforms, Malam Khalid Muhammad, who set the tone for the summit, emphasizing the importance of girls' education in Kano State and the commitment of Kano State government. Also, we had a goodwill messages started from the Executive Director, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, Madam Sani Muhammad, who delivered the goodwill message on behalf of Malala Funds. And then we watched a documentary presentation titled From Policy to Progress, Girls' Education After the Declaration of State of Emergency in Education in Kano State, where we've seen live realities of girls, that's rural girls in Bebeji and Woodil, striving for education despite social and economic challenges. We move to paper presentation. The first paper presentation is on investing in self-functional boarding schools for rural girls, which was presented by Professor Rabia Husseini Adamu, then followed by panel discussion, which we have Professor Rabia Said, Madam Tijan Haladu Baraya, Dr. Awala Halilu, and Honorable Hafsat Adhama as the panelists of that panel discussion. The session centers around the need to ensure safety and self-learning environment for girls, especially in the rural areas. There's emphasis on monitoring and evaluation to ensure girls attend classrooms. Then the second paper presentation was titled Technology and Innovation, Expanding Girls' Access to Quality Education, which was presented by Dr. YZ Yau, the Executive Director, Center for Information and Technology Development, CITAD. Followed by panel discussion, where we have Aisha Atofa, Amina Abubakar, Mubarak Daha, and Ramadan Yusuf as the finalists. The panel discussed around the importance of basic education for girls to enable them to have access to technology, supporting girls to maximize their opportunities. And then we had spoken words performance by Hafsat Ismail Zubair, which was on girls' education. And then we had equity demo. Also, we move straight to breakout sessions where we break into 4 groups. The first group is a mentorship session where we have mentors Hajia Amina Kasim, Professor Rabia Salihu, Zainab Nasir, and Hajia Hadiza Gidado as the mentors for the girls. Then the other room, we have a topic, collective responsibilities for girls' safety. We had Hajara Mecho as the moderator. Then the other room, we have empowering girls through digital literacy, safety, and continuity, where we have Salim Wada Usman as the moderator. Finally, we had enhancing community participation in girls' education service delivery, where we have Abdurrahman Abdu as the moderator. This is how far we had yesterday, and we look forward to have a fruitful discussion today. Thank you.
Please, another round of applause for Madam Abubakar Umar for that excellent reflection. Yesterday was really packed. It was great. And one of my key takeaways was the testimonials we got from the girls. Many of them being on a stage like this for the first time and seeing dignitaries like this for the first time, and they were really inspired. Right there and then, we already had girls wanting to be the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Honorable Minister, and many others, which is very good. And that is one of the things we wanted to achieve, for this to serve as a platform for mentorship, to mentor these young girls to aspire to be something, to aspire to create value in their society. So one more time, a round of applause for Bridge Connect and the organizers. Next on our agenda is welcome remark to be delivered by Sani Muhammad, a remarkable young man who is the founder and executive director, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. He also doubles as the Malala Fund Education Champion.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, Comrade Aminu Abdulsalam Gorzo, the representative of the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Kulthum Muhammad Rakana, the Honorable Commissioner of Education, Kano State, Gwani Dr. Ali Haruna Makoda, the Technical Advisor to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State on Education Reform, Malam Haladu Muhammad, the Special Advisor to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State on Education, and the Chairman of this occasion, Malam Tajuddin Gambo, the SSA to the Governor on Teacher Training, Yusuf Yanoko, the SA Vocation on Education, Habib El Yaqub, representatives of MDAs from the various MDAs from Kano State, representatives of the local government chairman here present, the education secretaries here present, students, their parents and teachers here present, the state SBMC chairman, Tijani Haladu Baraya, high-level women advocates, Kano representative, Hajia Miro Gorzo, my team at Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, the executive secretary of SAMI, that is the State Agency for Mass Education. Good morning. My name is Sani Muhammad, and I'm here to present the welcome address. It is a great honor to welcome you to the Kano Girls Education Summit, an important platform that reaffirms our shared vision for inclusive, equitable, and transformative education for every girl child. At Bridge Connect, we have always believed that education is more than a policy priority. It is a shared promise of dignity, opportunity, and hope. Over the years, our work has taken us into communities across northern Nigeria where the power of education, especially for girls, continue to reveal itself in the most profound ways. Every time a girl stays in school, a door opens, not just for her, but for her family, her community, and our collective future. The Kano Girls Education Summit comes at a very defining moment for education reform in Kano State, representing a convergence of voices, visions, and commitments aimed at advancing lasting change. And through our partnership with the Kano State government and the invaluable support of the Malala Fund, this summit seeks to elevate the conversation from access to accountability and from policy to real transformation. The summit provides an opportunity to reflect on the significant progress made from the state declaration of a state of emergency on education to increase education budget allocations and the renewed attention to girls' learning, safety, and completion. It also challenges us to think critically about what more can be done to ensure that every naira invested in education translates into impact for girls in every classroom across every community. And for Bridge Connect, the introduction of the gender-responsive education budgeting framework is one of our proudest contributions to this ongoing journey. It provides a pathway for embedding equity, transparency, and accountability into education financing, and a model that other states can learn from. But the true success of this work lies in its adoption, which has been graciously adopted, but also in its ownership and implementation by those who hold the mandate to lead the government, which are the government, the educators, and even communities themselves. As we gather today under this theme, investing in her future and advancing girls' education through equitable budgeting, we are reminded that the future we seek for girls in Kano is one that must be built collectively through leadership, through listening, and through shared responsibility. We're grateful to the Kano State government. We're grateful to Malala Fund for their unwavering partnership, and honestly to the Kano State government for its continued commitment to this vision. I don't think there is any state government in Nigeria that is investing heavily in education like Kano State. With this, I warmly welcome you to this important gathering, one that marks another milestone in Kano State's journey to greatness and reaffirms our shared commitment to building a future where every girl not only learns, but truly thrives. Thank you.
That has been Sani Muhammad, the Executive Director, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, and like I usually say, a very promising young person. Please, a round of applause for him one more time. While that was happening, we had in attendance Dr. Awal Halilu from KSAFE. We recognize your presence. We also had Hajia Fatima Aliyu from Plain FCDO, and Hajia Hadiza Gidado, former education coordinator, Kano Social Emotional Learning. We recognize your presences here. To lead us in the next items on our agenda and to invite the Honorable Commissioner of Education, Kano State, I want to invite my co-hosts, so a resounding round of applause for Malen Yusho Hamza Kafinchiri, who is the Director of Planning, Research and Statistics, Kano State Ministry of Education, to lead us on the next items on our agenda.
Thank you. Let's appreciate Ahmed. Please put hands together for Ahmed. The Honorable Minister, in representation, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, my mentor. Let me stand on the existing protocol. We've already having it on. The activity is on. We had one session yesterday, and it was a marvelous session that we had a full house just like today. Your Excellency, if there is any time, a better one for us to have an education summit that has to do with girls is now. Your Excellency, remember your government had already declared a state of emergency in education. Your Excellency, you've already known that the Kano Education Emergency Recovery Plan has been drafted. Your Excellency, the Mutual Accountability Framework has been assented by the Executive Governor. Your Excellency, your government has already set a very powerful committee to tackle one of the biggest issues of education anywhere in Nigeria, the out-of-school children, which in court, it's been acclaimed that Kano is having the highest number of out-of-school children. That committee has been set. This summit is a roadmap to realization, the care map, the Kano Education Emergency Recovery Plan, and the realization of the Mutual Accountability Framework. So it's the right time, and Your Excellency, it's good you are here. Please let's appreciate His Excellency for that. And for us to have the welcome remark from one of us is our leader, who has been one person that is standing between the realization of greatness and the doom period that this government come and meet in the sector. let me welcome a grassroots politician, an administrator, a very strong man with purpose of change. Help me welcome Gweni Ali Haruna Abubakar Mokoda, the Honorable Commissioner, to give us the opening remarks, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على من تلقى القرآن من لدن حكيم عليم نبينا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري وحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. The Honorable Minister, State for Education, ably represented by her Special Assistant on Technical, the powerful lady, Haja Kulsum Rakana. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, His Excellency Engineer Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, ably represented by an administrator for excellence. The powerful political guru of our generation. Man who excels in unlimited ways. His Excellency, the Dammasanum Konkwasiya, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, Comrade Aminu Abdusalam Gorzo, the special advisors to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, the senior special assistant to His Excellency, the Governor of Kano State, Malam Yusuf Yanoko, our executive secretaries that are here, I saw SAME, State Agency for Mass Education, other political appointees that are here, the executive director and also founder for Bridge Connect Africa and also Malala Pond, the senior stakeholders that are here, more especially my good friend, the respected chair, SB MC Malam Tijani Haladu Baraya, other donors and development partners that are here, our students, other invited guests, and especially the people with disabilities that are here. We really recognize you and we value you much. Good morning to you all. Let me first and foremost appreciate His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, for even taking a bold step in education sector. When the governor and the deputy governor were sworn into office on May 29, 2023, there were, several calls with regards to what they so far inherited after taking oath of office, more especially in education sector, ranging from decadence of infrastructure, high school dropout, more especially from the girl side. So this is one of the things that prompted this administration to, as a matter of urgency, declare state of emergency in education sector so as to curtail the menace. In 2024, after the declaration of state of emergency, that year alone, His Excellency, the Governor, graciously approved the 29.75 of the total budget into the education sector in 2024. Come 2025, the figure went up by setting aside 31.5% into the same sector. So you can see the budget increase. And as I am talking to you as a commissioner in charge of that ministry, you can quote me anywhere. The infrastructure development is almost going on in all the 484 wards in Kano State. Since the inception of this administration, we renovated more than 2,000 classrooms. We also constructed more than 250 new classrooms and offices across the state. So you can see the emergency rule really is working. With regard to girls' child education in Kano, I'm sure the Deputy Governor will attest to that. During the time of our Supreme Leader, His Excellency, Grand Commander-in-Chief, Konkosia Movement, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso, we really witness a tremendous achievement in this sector with regards to girls' child education, ranging from introducing the shuttling buses solely for girls, and also the construction of classrooms, the renovation of toilets, and constructing new toilets also across the 44 LGS during the time of our Supreme Leader. But I'm sorry, after leaving the office, the sector faces serious neglect. And that was part of the reason for the declaration of state of emergency. Our executive governor follows the same step of his mentor, Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso. Because what we are witnessing today is more of a replica of our supreme leader. We quite appreciate you, Your Excellency. We thank you for all the effort you are putting, not only to education, but to all the sectors across strata. From 2023 to date, I can vividly tell you that more than 30,000 girls were returned back to school through a collaborative program supported by World Bank, between the World Bank and the state government. That is the Agile project. The recruitment of female teachers also. Even last month, I can see some of your faces here when we all gathered at Indo Stadium to also witness the integration of 4,315 BESDA teachers into permanent and pensionable. And more are coming. There and then, His Excellency also directed the Kano State Ministry of Education to go ahead with recruiting more staffs. And we can't just recruit staff anyhow. They have to undergo a processes ranging from aptitude test and proper scrutiny to ensure that we select the best so that our students and pupils can learn. Because the quality of education depends largely on the quality of teachers. Once you have our qualitative teachers, what are our expectations? Qualitative education. This year, on the 18th September 2025, the National Examination Council, NECO, released 2025 result with Kano State championing the records for the first time in history. Since the creation of National Examination Council, that was the first of its kind when Kano State champions the record. So this is as a result of the declaration of state of emergency. You can see how it is working. Apart from the infrastructural development, the instructional materials, both teaching and learning, the school uniforms. But last year, I know most of you also witnessed this program when we distributed close to 800,000 pre-uniforms to our new intake, that is P1 pupils, both male, both girls and boys. And we are replicating the same in the next 2 to 3 weeks coming by God's grace. Let me also inform you on the progress so far made. When we took over in 2023, more than 13 girls' boarding schools were shut down for reasons best known to them. And this time around, effort has been made, and more than 3 billion naira was set aside for the renovation and reopening of these 13 girls' boarding schools across the state. Let me not preempt my boss. I know he has a lot to tell you. The gender responsive education budgeting framework, Your Excellency, we worked tirelessly. We even left the state to be in Kaduna for almost 72 hours, working tirelessly to make sure that we validated the framework. And that has been done, Your Excellency. I know the next line of action will definitely come from the horse's mouth, who is the executive governor of Kano State, ably represented by Dr. Mosanum Konkosia. I thank you very much for listening, and I pray for Almighty Allah's guidance in all our perspiration. Glorified is your Lord, the Lord of honor and power. He is free from all what they attribute to him. May the peace and blessings of Almighty Allah be unto the messengers. All praises are to Allah the Almighty, the Lord of mankind, genes, and all that exist. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much. I think the Honorable Commissioner deserves a very big round of applause one more time. For his passion to lead and for his zeal and commitment. He's telling you a lot of things that he found going on, and he is carrying them to the next level as far as reform is concerned, and as far as the sector education is concerned, and as far as Kano State is concerned, one state that is having the highest number of school children, school-aged girls, and anything that has to do with the aspect of education. Kano is leading, because Kano has turned out to be a cosmopolitan state that is housing all other states as far as now is concerned. We'd like to thank you, Your Excellency, for your patience and your time to be at this summit. And I would like to relate it well as well to Your Excellency that for today's sitting, we have a chair. And that chair is going to chair us through the papers, through the panels of presentation that we'll be having much later. But he will be an active chair when His Excellency takes his exit after the ceremonial aspect of it. So I think on that note, sir, I would like to invite him to give us his chair remarks. Let me invite a former classroom teacher, former vice principal, former director of education, former permanent secretary, former commissioner of education. He followed the rank through the cadre, Malam Tajuddin Gambo. Please let's appreciate him one more time.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, Representative of Honorable Minister of State, Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Education, Special Advisors, and Senior Special Advisor President, Education Executive Director, Bridge Connect, all protocols observed and respected. Your Excellency, yesterday we set stage for a robust conversation on promoting girls' education in Kano State. Today we build on those discussions, exploring strategies to empower girls through education and address challenges they face. Our paper presentations and panel discussions are designed to stimulate critical thinking, share best practices, and foster collaboration among stakeholders. I encourage all participants to engage actively, share their experiences, and contribute to shaping the future of girls' education in Kano State. Let us work together to make a difference in the lives of our girls and the future of our state. I pray to Almighty Allah for the successful derivation of today's event. I permit the MCs from now to lead us in the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The essay to the governor. Please let's appreciate him one more time. And distinguished guest, the Honorable Minister, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, ably represented. And I think we have some protocols that I would like to grab the indulgence of the Deputy Governor to observe. We have in our midst the State Team Lead Plan, Nigeria. Malam Umar Lawal is here. Please let's appreciate him. The Executive Secretary, State Agency for Mass Education is here. Doctor, yes, thank you for coming. It's been well. She was here yesterday and today and all through. Once it is the issue of girl child, and I trust my ladies. Co-chair, Girls Education Partnership, Hajia Mayra Bello is here as well. She is on a double, not cap, but Kallabi. She was representing the Hilwa as well as the co-chair of Girls Education Partnership. I would like also to appreciate the presence of my man, Ugu Kelechi is here. He's from the FCDO. Please, let's appreciate him. Your Excellency, FCDO is doing great to us, and if there is any partner reformer in education, we'll call FCDO. They are marvelous. Your Excellency, we have been having education secretaries from across 18 local governments. They are all here. as well as some representations of the local government chairman from Takai and other local governments. Your Excellency, they are all here for the girls. Please, let's appreciate them, please, and now you're welcome. Honorable Minister, we've been having a lot in our hands. We now move to the next aspect, which is goodwill messages. We'll be having two goodwill messages, and the first one is going to be virtual, and the second one is going to be in real. I think I have to start from here. The state team lead plan is here. Please let's appreciate him for the goodwill message. In the meantime, let's get our virtual goodwill message, Nabila Aguile from Malala Funds. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, the representative of Her Excellency, the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Education, the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Education, all protocols observed and duly respected, I bring you greetings from the UK Development Director. Equally, greetings from my national team lead, Dr. Boyga Olusanya, who asked me to first congratulate Bridge Connect and Malala Foundation for the Kano Girls Education Summit. I would also like to use this opportunity to congratulate the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Education, Kano, for the total transformation being recorded within the education sector in Kano. So many landmark achievements were recorded during the 2 years tenure of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano, Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf. FCDO is proud to be associated with all these achievements. Reforms are ongoing in the sector, courtesy of the passion and desire, the interest His Excellency the Governor has in the sector of education. For us, as program, we are very pleased with the support we are getting from the Honorable Commissioner. I'm happy to state that some of the reforms brought about by the present government is yielding dividends. We can see from the result of 2024 NECO exams, which Kano took the first position. As program, we are supporting Kano State government to ensure that reforms are taking place within the sector. Just like mentioned by the Honorable Commissioner, recently over 4,315 BESDA teachers were offered permanent and pensionable appointments. We would like to appeal to the ministry to ensure that going forward, from what we have heard, that more teachers are going to be recruited. Already, Kano State government has been supported with policies, one of which is the teacher development policy. The policy contains implementation framework that outlines how best brains can be recruited as teachers. So may I appeal to the ministry to see to it that when recruiting the next batch of teachers, we use the teacher development policy as a guide. It outlines how recruitment, deployment, incentives to teachers, in-service, and all that it takes to make teaching tick is. They are all contained within the package. I'm also pleased to inform this gathering that on girls' education, FCDO has done a lot with the state government in ensuring transformation in the area of girls' education. This includes the girls' education policy, the gender equity and social inclusion policy. They are all aimed at promoting girl child education. Very soon, the ministry, I'm sure, will forward 4 policies which plan, in collaboration with state government, has developed for the state. When approved by His Excellency, I'm sure it will go a long way in transforming the education sector. For now, access is not the problem on girl child education, especially at the urban locations. Certainly, there are issues associated in terms of girls' education development in our rural and hard-to-reach locations. I'm sure the policies developed will go a long way in addressing some of these challenges facing girls' education in Kano State. On behalf of UK Development Director, once again, I use this opportunity to congratulate Bridge Connect, Malala Foundation, the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Education, for hosting this important summit. Assalamu alaikum and good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much, Malam Umar Lawal, the state team leader, Plan, Nigeria. Please let's appreciate him one more time. Your Excellency, we've been getting a lot from Plan, as I was mentioning, and he capped it on by telling us a lot of the policies that they have the ministry to upgrade and review. One very important document that Plan helped the ministry was the education law. We've been having education law non-reviewed since 1964. 60 years later, Plan came to help us last year review it. So that's one area that I think he had forgotten, and I had to tell it to His Excellency for that marvelous milestone achievement. Let me crave the indulgence of the Honorable Minister, the Deputy Governor, to welcome Haji Arabi Ishaq Adamu to our midst. Please let's appreciate the former commissioner. Please, she's here with us. You remember she led a paper yesterday, and it was one of the best paper we had in session. And I don't know if today we'll be having more papers. I would like to also acknowledge the Executive Secretary, Science and Technical Schools Board, who is here in representation capacity, as well as one other lady who is very strong when it comes to issue of safeguarding. You don't term her on that issue. Hajia Fatima Ali from the FCDO Plan is the safeguarding officer, JC. Hajia, thank you. She's always in defense of the girls. All right, Your Excellency, next is the last of what we are to have from the goodwill message. And let me see if the virtual people are ready. If Nabila Agwile, the CEO Malala Funds Nigeria, is ready, we can go with it. Thank you. Let's have
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Saeed Ahmed, the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Dr. Ali Haruna Makoda, distinguished members of the Kano State Executive Council and other senior government officials here present, the Vice Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, Professor Haruna Musa, development partners including representatives of FCDO Plain and other collaborating institutions, representatives of civil society and the media, our esteemed host and partner, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to stand on all other established protocols. On behalf of Malala Fund, it is an honor to share a goodwill message today with Bridge Connect Africa Initiative and the Kano State Government at this Kano Girls Education Summit 2025. This gathering reflects what is possible when advocacy meets political will and when communities, civil society, and government come together with one shared goal: to ensure every girl can learn and lead. We celebrate Bridge Connect Africa Initiative for your outstanding leadership and unwavering commitment to advancing girls' education in Nigeria. Through the Bridging Access Girls Education Project, BEIGE, Bridge Connect has shown the power of community-driven advocacy and collaboration. Your efforts have helped pave the way for a landmark achievement: the adoption of the Gender-Responsive Education Budgeting Framework by the Kano State Government. This groundbreaking tool embeds gender equity in education financing across the state and ensures that every naira invested in education truly serves the needs of girls. We also commend the Kano State Government for its leadership and its partnership, and for prioritizing girls' education, and for working to create an enabling environment where girls can return to school, can learn safely, and ultimately can fulfill their potential. By embracing gender-responsive policies and inclusive budgeting, Kano is setting a powerful example for other states across Nigeria. At Malala Fund, our focus in Nigeria is to ensure that every girl, including those who are pregnant, married, or displaced, can return to school and complete their schooling, and that education financing reflects the realities of girls' lives. When girls are educated, they lift their families, their communities, and ultimately their country. We congratulate Bridge Connect and the Kano State Government on this milestone achievement and look forward to deepening our partnership to continue investing in the future of every girl.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please let's appreciate the Malala Fund's Chief Executive Officer, Nigeria, in person of Nabila Aguile, who had led us through the session of our goodwill message. Your Excellency, let me acknowledge the presence of Dr. Binta Abubakar, the Executive Secretary, SAMI, as well as Hawa Yunusa, who represent the Executive Secretary, Kano State Secondary Schools Management Board, and Hajia Amina Kasim, the Girl Child Coordinator in the State Ministry of Education. You're all welcome for this event. And I think it's about time for us, Your Excellency, to have or to take a testimony. We've been doing all these things for the girls. It is the girls, Kano Girls Education Summit, and we had to listen to the girls to hear them out. On that note, I would like to invite for the girl child testimonial currently an SS1 student from Meiroti Jani Science and Technical Schools, Rukaya Habibu, to please come out. Please let's appreciate Rukaya. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, government officials, and everyone present, good day to you all. It's a great pleasure that I, Rukaya Habib Trenchi from Meritijan Girls Science and Technical College, Kano, standing here before you today to share how far we have come and our education is beginning to transform the life of girls like me, and also to reflect on the journey of girl-child education. We are gathered here not just to acknowledge the challenges we have overcome, but also to celebrate on the remarkable progress achieved in empowering girls through knowledge, opportunity, and a brighter future. But before we look forward, let us cast our mind to a time when the landscape of education was drastically different. I mean, opportunities were limited, resources were scarce, and societal pressure reigned. I could remember going to school was not easy for us. Some of our classrooms were overcrowded. Many did not even have enough chairs or books. And some schools are very far from home. I sometimes miss classes because of the long walk, house chores, illness, or lack of proper toilet, especially covered ones that give girls the privacy they need. Some girls even drop out from school because their parents couldn't afford it or needed them to stay home and help. Girls are less likely to make informed decisions about their lives or contribute to their community. The world was robbed of their talent, their creativity, and their invaluable perspectives. But thankfully, we're not bound by that past. Today, we can proudly point at the extraordinary stride we have made, coming to increased enrollment, shifting societal attitude, investing in infrastructure and resources, championing girls' voices, and also breaking down barriers. As you can witness, things are changing. More investments are going into buildings. Better classrooms and boarding schools, providing chairs, textbooks, toilet, and wash facilities. The curriculum is being updated to meet the need of the girl child. And now, more female teachers are now in our schools, encouraging us to learn and believe in ourselves. I am especially happy that the government now supports free and compulsory education. This has really helped my parents to keep me and my siblings in school. To keep me and my siblings in school. The achievements are not just statistics. They represent countless individual stories of resilience, determination, and hope. The story of girls who have broken through barriers, defeat expectations, and are now contributing to a more than just prosperous world. I also want to use this opportunity to extend my deepest and heartfelt gratitude to the Kano State Government and Bridge Connect Africa Initiative for their continued commitment to improving the girl-child education. And also want to encourage our leaders to keep supporting the girl-child education through the Gender Responsive Education Budget, GREB framework, so that more girls can stay in school, learn in safe environment, and reach their full potential. It's because of this effort I now have hope for my future. I dream of becoming a pharmacist so that I can help other girls and make a difference in my community. Education has given me the courage, confidence, and a voice to speak for myself and other girls. When you invest in girls' education, you have invested in the future of our society, community, and state at large. As was said by Malala Yousafzai, one pen, one book, one child, and one teacher can be used to change the world, leading to the contribution of our society at large. Thank you all for listening. And I always remain Rukaya Habib Chirenchi, a great ambassador of Kano State from Meritijan Girls Science and Technical College, saying, have a nice and wonderful day.
Can you stay? Yeah, yes. And when they said Kano State is number one in NECO, everybody start making noise. I don't know what's that noise all about. Yes? Thank you very much, Khadija, for that wonderful presentation. And it is a testimonial from the girls. And she has said a lot. Gender responsive. Your Excellency, before now, girl child to boy child education is 3:2. 3 boys, 2 girls in school. But now, it is 5 girls in school, 3 boys in school. So 5:3. So our attention should now start to gear towards boy child. Because as the way these girls are getting groomed by their teachers, I think Kano State will be somewhere, sometime near. Please, let's appreciate the girls. Next is Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Mana Ishu, for taking us thus far. Your Excellency, the Minister, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor. The next item on our agenda is a keynote address titled Investing in Her Future, Equitable Budgeting for Girls' Education. And that is going to be delivered by the Honorable Minister of State, Professor Suwaiba Saeed Ahmed, who is ably represented here by Malama Kulsum Muhammad. And before I invite her, I want to issue an apology and make a correction. While establishing the protocol, I had acknowledged her as the technical advisor instead of, as the technical assistant instead of the technical advisor. So I make that correction now. I would invite Malama Kulsum Muhammad Rakana, the technical advisor, partners, project, and programs, to the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Saeed Ahmed, to deliver the keynote address on behalf of the Honorable Minister. Please, a round of applause for her as she proceeds to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu min qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Assalamu alaikum. The Deputy Governor, Kano State, His Excellency, Comrade Aminu Abdul Salam, the Honorable Commissioner of Education, Honorable Ali Makoda, the Technical Advisor to the Governor on Education Reform, Malan Tijani Haladu Baraya, the Technical Advisor to the Governor on Education and Chairman of the Education, Malan Tajuddin Gambo, all other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, including partners present, Assalamu alaikum once again. It gives me a great pleasure to be here today at the Kano Girls Education Summit 2025 as an important gathering dedicated to one of the most transformative causes of our time. This is to ensure that every girl in Nigeria, regardless of her background, has access to quality, safe, and equitable education. I sincerely commend the organizers, Bridge Connect African Initiative, and the Malala Fund for their unwavering commitment to advancing girls' rights and education across our nation. The term of this year's summit is both timely and profoundly significant, as it amplifies a truth we can no longer ignore. That empowering girls through education is not only a moral imperative, but also an economic necessity. To invest in our education is to invest in the health, prosperity, and stability of families, community, and the entire nation at wide. Yet, progress has been made. The data remind us that too many girls in Nigeria still face barriers that prevent them from reaching their full potentials. Early marriage, poverty, insecurity, cultural norms, and inadequate infrastructure has continued to deny millions of our daughters the opportunity to learn. We must therefore go beyond rhetoric and commit to targeted, equitable, and sustained investments in the girls' education. As a government, we are aligning our efforts with this vision under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Maruf Alausa, CON, as we are taking deliberate steps to strengthen the education sector through policies that address gender disparities and improve resource allocation to education. Through the renewed hope education agenda of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the Federal Ministry of Education has prioritized inclusivity, safety, and quality learning. Programs such as the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment, supported by the World Bank, are already transforming the educational landscapes across the state by expanding access, improving school facilities, and empowering girls with their life skills. We are also working closely with development partners like the FCDO plane, the UNICEF, the other partners working in the education sector to promote gender-responsive budgeting and ensuring that every naira spent in the education sector translate into equitable outcomes for both the girls and the boys. This means that not only increasing the volume of education financing, but also ensuring that budget respond to the specific needs of girls, be it through the provision of sanitary facilities, mentorship programs, safe transportation, or digital learning tools. At the same time, the Ministry of Education recognizes that change must begin from the community. This is why we continue to strengthen collaboration with state governments, traditional institutions, other development partners working in the education sector, civil society organizations, the Bridge Connect and the Malala Fund, who are at the forefront of community engagement, advocacy, and accountability for girls' education. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, investing in girls' education yields the highest return of any social investment. When a girl is educated, she is more likely to have healthier children, earn higher income, and contribute meaningfully to her community. The benefit ripples across generations, lifting families out of poverty and driving inclusive growth. But none of this will happen by chance. It requires intentional planning, equitable budgeting, and a sustained political will. It also requires that we treat education not as a cost, but as a lifelong investment in our national future. In line with this commitment, the Federal Ministry of Education launched the Lumina 2030 initiative. The Lumina 2030 initiative is a national flagship program designed to educate and economically empower at least 1 million underserved girls by 2030. The initiatives adopt adopt a caregiver-centered approach, linking conditional cash transfers to girls' schools enrollment and attendance, recognizing that strengthening the economic resilience of mothers and female guardians directly supports girls' education and retention in schools. Lumina 2030 represents and will operate through 3 interlinked phases. That is the root phase, which targets the caregiver, the STEAM phase, which will target the children, and the Bloom phase, which will target the adolescent girls from age 9 to age 18. This will connect foundational enrollment, caregiver empowerment, and adolescent skills development. The initiative is being piloted currently in 8 states, covering Abuja, Bayelsa, Ebonyi, Jigawa, Kano, Lagos, Oyo, and Yobe, with plans to scale nationwide. The major focus of the Lumina initiative is anchored on 5 program pillars, which will expand education access, strengthen skills development, empower caregivers, deepening community engagement, and reinforce institutional capacity. These pillars reflect our collective commitment to building a sustainable ecosystem for girls' learning, empowerment, and leadership. Since its inception in January 2025, significant milestones have been achieved. Those include the establishment of multi-tier government structures, validation of the monitoring and evaluation and learning framework, and the securing of donor partnership to support the implementation. Political commitment remains strong, with state commissioners pledging full collaboration and the integration of the Lumina into the UBEC structure to ensure institutional sustainability. Plans are currently underway to conduct baseline assessments, sign memorandum of understanding with pilot states, and embark on state-level advocacy effort aimed at strengthening collaboration, enhancing visibility, and embedding state and community ownership from the onset. As we move forward, our focus will be on accelerating state-level structures, expanding community sensitization, and enrolling girls in community learning centers where they will receive literacy skills, life skills, and vocational training. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must also note that the inspiring engagement I recently had with Malala Yousafzai and the Malala Foundation, which was a deeply symbolic moment as Malala and I stood side by side with our fathers, the men who believed in us long before the world did. This was a powerful reminder of the influence of parental and caregiver support in shaping a girl's dreams and destinies. Our discussion with Malala focused on ensuring 12 years of free, safe, and quality education for every Nigerian girl, emphasizing on the need to address gender-based violence, improve menstrual hygiene facilities, strengthen coordination among partners, and accelerate the implementation of the national menstrual hygiene policy at the national and the state levels. This is to sustain our partnership and collective resolve to drive action for girls' education in Nigeria. The Malala Foundation affirmed Nigeria as a priority country under its global strategy and expressed its readiness to deepen collaboration in policy support, financing, and community engagement. As we gather here today in Kano, a state with a proud history of scholarship and reform, I am confident that the conversations, commitments that emerge from this summit will chart a new pathways toward a Nigeria where no girl is left behind. On behalf of the Federal Ministry of Education, I reaffirm our full support for the initiative that promotes girls' education and gender equity Together with partners like Malala Fund, Bridge Connect, and other development partners, state governments, and local communities will continue to ensure that every girl in Nigeria has the opportunity not only to go to school, but to learn, thrive, and lead. Let us continue to invest wisely, equitably, and boldly in her future, because when we invest in her, we invest in all of us. Thank you, and may God bless our efforts and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. That has been Malama Kulsum Muhammad Rakana, the Technical Advisor, Partners, Projects and Programs to the Honorable Minister of State for Education, representing the same minister to deliver her keynote address. Thank you so much, Ma. I would love for you to please extend our appreciation to Her Excellency, the Honorable Commissioner. She gave us audience during the planning. We went to meet her personally to introduce our plans and everything we want to achieve. And she has been a pillar of tremendous support to this summit and to Bridge Connect initiative. And also appreciate her for being a quintessence of excellence. Many young girls are inspired by her success. And so we appreciate her so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on our agenda is the Deputy Governor's opening speech, formal declaration, and unveiling of the GRAVE framework. You're going to listen to a very soft-spoken, remarkable, and amazing politician, not just politician, but leader. To invite His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, I would call on the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Gwani Dr. Ali Haruna Mokoda.
Once again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost moving towards ending now. It is at this point in time, my single honor and privilege to invite the man of the moment, the man who shows 101% loyalty to his boss, and above all, trustworthy. His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kano State, Comrade Aminu Abdul Salam Gorzo, to represent His Excellency the Governor. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على نبي الكريم the Honorable Minister for Education, Minister of State, heavily represented by Hajia Kulsum Muhammad, Special Advisor Technical. The Right Honorable Commissioner, Ministry for Education, Kano State, Dr. Gwani Ali Haruna Makoda, the Executive Director, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, Alhaji Sani Muhammad, the Special Advisor on Education, whom as well can go for Mr. Education anywhere. A grassroots educationist, Malam Tajuddin Gambo, Special Advisor on Education Reforms to the Kano State Governor, Malam Habibu Muhammad, Special Advisor on Vocational Education, Alhaji Habib El Akub, Local Government Chairman here present, Education Secretaries, State SBMC Chairman, Alhaji Tijani Haladu, parents and students, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Stand. To stand here before you today, witnessing this very august and momentous occasion, at the Kano Girls Education Summit. Organized by the Bridge Connect Africa Initiative with the support of the Malala Fund in collaboration with the Kano State Ministry of Education. This forum holds deep significance, not only to me personally, but also to the administration I represent, and to the brighter future we all envision for our beloved state. Today's event is far more than a ceremonial occasion. It is a reaffirmation of our shared vision and solemn responsibility to ensure that every girl in Kano, irrespective of background or circumstance, has the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to contribute meaningfully to the progress of the society. When this administration assumed office, the education landscape presented down to realities. A high number of out-of-school children, neglected infrastructure, and families grappling with the challenge of keeping their daughters in school. In response, the state government, under the able leadership of His Excellency Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf, thought it necessary to declare a state of emergency on education in the year 2024. A very decisive step aimed not only at increasing resources, but also at transforming the very foundation of education delivery in Kano State. Since that declaration, by the grace of Almighty Allah, and through steadfast commitment, tremendous progress has been made. In 2025, 31% of the state budget was dedicated to education, the highest allocation in Nigeria, setting a national benchmark. Pre-school uniforms were distributed to ease financial burdens on parents. Girls' boarding schools were rehabilitated and upgraded to enhance safety and ensure learning continuity. Over 5,500 volunteer teachers were absorbed into permanent service, thereby strengthening teaching capacity. The outcomes are evident. Only recently, Kano students achieved top performance in the 2025 NECO examinations, a milestone that clearly demonstrates what can be achieved when serious investment is made in human capital. Yet, this is not a moment for complacency. The journey ahead demands sustained commitment, transparency, and accountability. One of the most progressive strides in this journey has been the development and recent adoption of the gender-responsive education budgeting GRAVE framework by the Ministry of Education. This instrument ensures that every naira budgeted for education is not only allocated and released, but effectively tracked and translated into tangible outcomes, safer schools, improved sanitation facilities, adequate learning materials, female teacher recruitment, and accessible transportation for learners. I wish to commend the tireless efforts that culminated in achievements, the technical leadership of Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, the strategic partnership of the Malala Fund, and the dedication of the Ministry of Education and other stakeholders. Together, these partners have built a framework that will redefine how Kano State invests in children. Let me assure you that the government of Kano State will ensure full implementation of this framework and will uphold accountability at every stage. This summit could not have come at a better time. It provides an essential platform for dialogue among students, parents, teachers, traditional rulers, and experts whose voices will guide our priorities, identify existing gaps, and shape practical, inclusive solutions. For indeed, a budget that does not reflect real lives and real needs remain nothing more than figures on paper. To our partners, the Malala Fund, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, civil society organizations, and development agencies, I extend sincere appreciation. Your commitment continues to reinforce the resolve of this administration. To our daughters, the young girls of Kano, the Ruqayyas, this summit belongs to you. Your voices, your dreams, and your ambitions are at the heart of our vision. The government remains resolute that no barrier, whether poverty, distance, cultural limitations, or inadequate resources will stand in the way of your education, your empowerment, and your success. Let Kano be remembered as that state that fulfilled its promise to its girls, a state that transformed commitment into concrete action. Together, let us nurture a future where every girl not only attends school, but excels, leads, and contributes to the strength and prosperity of our society. With these remarks, it is my honor and privilege to declare the Kano Girls Education Summit officially open. May Allah Almighty bless our efforts, guide our decisions, and reward our collective commitment to the future of our daughters. I, therefore, on behalf of His Excellency, the Chief Executive, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf, the four-filler Abba Gida Gida, once more reassure you our total commitment. We have adopted this framework and we are committed to its implementation to the letter. Once again, I congratulate the State Minister of Education under the able leadership of Gwani Ali Haruna Makora, for those who may not know, Gwani, as you have heard us saying, Gwani is the Hausa grading, intellectual grading of Quranic reciters. It's a professorial position. And and Arabic or Quranic knowledge. That is his background, and he continued studying in the Western education. He also doubles as Dr. Ali Aruna Makoda. So he's immensely blessed. And I believe the ministry is blessed with such a personality superintending its activities. A man from these two backgrounds certainly is sufficiently exposed to provide the required leadership for the ministry. I congratulate the ministry for achieving this feat. Kano is moving. Kano is ticking. As far as education is concerned, we have started seeing results. We all knew that investment in education has very little low-hanging fruits. If you invest in education, you have to wait, and wait patiently for a long time to come. But thank God, the people at the helm of affairs of the ministry know the kind of tonic needed to apply. We have suffered 8 years of neglect and waste. And I believe the tonic they are applying is working. Within 2 years, since I've started turning around, we'll continue to do all the doables, to do whatever it takes to continue supporting the education sector, especially the girl child education. Konkosia, as a political movement that is in power today in Kano, has its priorities right from our leader, the Supreme Commander of the Konkosia movement, Engineer Rabi Musa Konkoso. Education is our priority. Second priority is education. Third is education. And when you come to girls' child, it's our top, girl child education is our top priority. That is why we can boast of giving Kano the first trained female pilot from the entire northwestern region, from Kano, under the leadership of His Excellency Engineer Rabi Musa Konkoso. We are also boasting of giving Kano and the entire northwestern Nigeria, and I believe even the entire 19 states of the north, the first marine engineer ever to be produced, a female. And for the first time, when the Northwest was established Northwest University. I think the student ratio male to female, the female ratio was higher for the first time ever, was higher than the male students. The first set of students that were admitted into the Northwest, I think it was around 53 to 47, if I could remember well. All those are indicators of the much importance we are attaching to girl-child education. And if you look at Open Nasarawa axis, Gidan Murtala, Governor's College, you have Hassana Supi, you have Justice Aloma, you have the Governor's College, all hosting and housing mainly female girls students in all those secondary schools established within a very small period. I think under the leadership of the former commissioner, Tajuddin Gambo, not quite 1 kilometer away from each other. And the numbers are very high. If you go and see the enrollment of the girls there in Hassana Supi, Justice Aloma, and the Governor's College, the number is very high. We thank God for all these blessings, and we hope to continue putting more emphasis, giving more support, allocating more resources to the educational sector, and especially for the girl-child education. Once again, I thank you all for listening. We appreciate you for coming. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think Your Excellencies deserve a standing ovation. Please, shall we please stand up and let's appreciate His Excellency for this marvelous speech. Let's give him a standing ovation. Please put your hands together for His Excellency for this wonderful presentation. He's such a focused and composed, a very tolerant leader that has been working in the sector of public service for quite a long time. And I must tell you, he was a former teacher, a former headmaster, a former revenue officer, and of course, a former commissioner, and now the deputy governor of Kano State, as well as the commissioner for higher education. Let's appreciate him one more time, please. Thank you. Let me kindly invite the Honorable Commissioner. I know it's going to be a ceremony for the unveiling, as well as the Honorable Commissioner for Planning and Budget, Malam Musa Suleiman Shah. I don't know who was join us to please come up as well. Special Advisor to the Governor on Education, who is the Chairman of the Occasion, and so we should come out, and the CEO. Not forgetting my Honorable Minister. Please put your hands together for the Honorable Minister, who should have been off together with the, thank you. The CEO, Bridge Connect, should please come up. SA to the Governor Technical, SA to the Governor Vocational, please. Thank you. Wannan waƙan ma daidai ne, sakota ɗanka yawwa, sakota yawwa. Thank you.
Okay, like I said, we are moving towards ending the program. It's now time to unveil the grave framework, which is going to be performed by His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Kano State on behalf of His Excellency the Governor. In the name of Almighty Allah,
beneficent, the most merciful, we unveil this document for implementation by Kano State government. This document called Gender Responsive Education Budgeting Grave Framework. Is formally unveiled, as I've earlier said, adopted by Kano State government for implementation. Immediately, inshallah.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Please, can we appreciate you one more time? And His Excellency will be having a photo session with the dignitaries as well as thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. Please let's appreciate His Excellency for that wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, Your Excellency, for that wonderful session of unveiling the grave document. And it's now official that the document is it's a working document for the State Ministry of Education. Thank you. Your Excellency, before we move to the next, and I think I would like to read this appeal to the Honorable Minister as well as to the Executive Governor of Kano State, represented by the Deputy Governor. It is an appeal from the PWDs. Would they say we should read it to the hearing of the Deputy Governor and the Honorable Minister, that they are appealing for federal and foreign scholarship for persons with disabilities. That is one. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, Your Excellency. The PWD's appeal, a federal and foreign scholarship for persons with disabilities, the infrastructural access to persons with disabilities, that's the second appeal. Then assistive devices supporting transport services for the disabled students. These are three areas that Comrade Abdurrahman Uba Daushe, the chairman, Special Coordinator, Spinal Cord Injuries Association of Nigeria, Kano, who says we should relay it to the dignitaries, important personalities, for support in that area. And it is on behalf of all people living with disabilities in the state. Please let's appreciate them. His Excellency has been tied by several schedules. He had to take some of those schedules down to pave way for the girls, for him to come and see this summit, address it, and be a part of it. And on that note, I would like to thank His Excellency, because I believe any moment from now, he'll be taking his exit for us to continue with other activities, which is going to be a paper presentation. But before His Excellency's exit, I would like to call for a keynote, because gender responsive budgeting, and we have our Commissioner for Planning and Budget, he has to say something at this point. Let's appreciate and welcome Musa Suleiman Shanunu for that keynote. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على نبي الكريم. Your Excellency, sir, the Deputy Governor sitting in for the Executive Governor of Kano State, Honorable Commissioner, Minister for Education, the Advisor, Ministry for Education, other major stakeholders here present. On a lighter mood, I was telling the MC, usually when our leaders talk or spoke, we don't have to say anything. Especially the Damasanim Kwankwasiya. When he said something, sadly, we as students, we don't have to say anything. At any rate, since the issue has to do with our children, and also has to do with budgeting, certainly as a Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, I should say a word or two. Let me start by congratulating the Ministry of Education for having this summit, and also the initiators of this very important segment of our education. Certainly, like what His Excellency says, the Deputy Governor, since we came on board, we leave nobody in doubt on the importance this government, as an offshoot of Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso's administration, the importance we attach to education. His Excellency said it all, and of recent, the 2025 budget, originally it was 719 billion. Out of it, education has the highest of 216 billion. That's 31%. Not only that, girls' education in particular, not only the primary ministry, that's Ministry of Education, you realize that funding of girls' education is multi-sectoral. There are other budget lines that the administration of Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf made it mandatory that we must provide budget line for anything education and for anything girls' education, irrespective of the MDA. This is very, very crucial as far as we are concerned. And it's so evident, just like what His Excellency said, that we have started seeing the fruit. As the saying goes by one professor of education, that the roots of education are bitter, but the fruits are sweet. We have started reaping the fruits now, and evidently, like what His Excellency said, that little wonder Kano State has the highest or scored the highest as far as NECO is concerned. So to cap it all, even the proposed 2026 budget, we are just at the end of finishing the budget bilateral discussions with all the MDAs, but evidently education will have the highest in the 2026 budget. With these few remarks, let me say once again, congratulate not only the Minister of Education, not only the government of Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, but the good people of Kano State for having the NMPP Konkosia administration at this material time, which there couldn't have been a better time to have the administration than now. With these few remarks, let me say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner. I think he deserves another round of applause for that input. It's his field, budget, and he made mention of a lot of things that has to do with the budget itself for this year. As earlier I did mention that His Excellency is tight on schedule. He has to be here because it is the Girls' Day. For this summit, we'd like to appreciate Your Excellency for coming, and I announce His Excellency's exit now. We pray for your health and continued success in life and for service for Kano people. Please let's appreciate His Excellency. The girls should meet His Excellency outside for a group photo, please. Let's have the representation of the girls for group photo outside at the podium there. Thank you. Kindly, quickly. Quickly. Thank you. We're going on a recess for just 5 minutes, and when we return, our first paper presentation will be in full session. The technical advisor to the governor on education reform is going to be the lead paper presenter from emergency to reform, sustaining the gains in the girls' education. Thank you.
taka ce abba mace mai kamar maza gidan abba na baba Atiku ne abba shugaban kasa a PDP ga wazirin mu zaɓi PDP zaɓin mu Atiku ga abba na kwankwasa jarumi abba ɗan kwankwasi a gashi mun duba ma dubu kwankwasa gashi ga abba
Yes. Abba ne gwamnana na madugu sahanina mu yanzu alhamdulillah abba mun yaba da ayyukan da kake yi kai rawar gani abba ne gwamnana bambarin gida madugu sahanina yayi mun gani yanzu alhamdulillah abba mun yaba da ayyukan da kake yi
mai sa maza su ji tsoro
sannan garkuwa muna da mai kishin mu dan farin gida
abba ne abban da
kuma hasana yana gado kun damu kaji gaskiya
duk bakin halin ku
kun yi kun gama gwamnati dai ta samu yayi mun gani ba za su gane shirin ba kaji gaskiya ba za mu daina faɗi ba farin gida muna da babbar gayya sannan ma dubu Allah mu dai da faranta kaji gaskiya abba ne gwamna na
bambarin gida
da ma dubu sa'anina
yayi mun gani
mu yanzu alhamdulillah abba mun yaba da ayyukan da kake yi kai rawar gani
ga zare da abawa
mai raba su za ya kwashe aiki babba dan farin gida
mai yawan gajiya kuma
tabbatar da bai kware gurin aiki ba kaji gaskiya
shi ginin Allah ne
abba ban ga mai hannun da zai ture ba yayi mun gani ba za mu bar addu'a ba gaskiya ba za mu fasa shiri ba da karkara da birane babu inda baya bawa abba suke ba yayi gaskiya abba ne gwamnana
bambarin gida
dubin sanina
yayi mun gani
yanzu alhamdulillah abbanin yaba da ayyukan da kake yi
dori na shiga kogi
ni ba ban ga inda zaki kwan a tudu ba dan farin gida kunkuru ta fi sannu tunda mun ga kai ba kai kama da gudu ba kaji gaskiya
abba ne fitilar mu
mu mutan Kano ba za mu daina faɗi ba yayi mun gani akwata da na zaune kaji gaskiya gwamna kai jigo ne farin gida sannan gagara gasa gwamna kai kadai ka razanar da magauta sun burariya abba ne gwamna na
bambarin gida
dubu sa'anina
yayi mun gani
mu yanzu alhamdulillah abba mun yaba da ayyukan da kake yi kai rawar gani
balarabe kawu ne
shi ya tuntuban ya ce a zo a bugata dan farin gida
Haji balaraba kawu
na yi baitukan domin a sada zumunta kaji gaskiya
ga abba gwamnan gaske
wanda duniya ta tabbatar da nagarta yayi mun gani haji balaraba nawa kaji gaskiya halin ka bar rainawa ga mai gida wani rabin muhammad na laraba ciro ma yan gida daya bane gwamna na
bambarin gida
ganin Ubangiji ya so ya aje ka. Ka ji gaskiya.
Abba zo ka ga zuga
Wacce babu rumburin cikin tafiyar ka. Yayi mun gani. Rabbana ya taya ma. Gaskiya. Kuma ya ƙara rika ma. Babu inda na dosa ban ji an yaba wa gwamna Abba Kabir ba. Ko gida ɗaya. Abba ne gwamna na. Babban gida. Dubin sani na. Yayi mun gani. Yanzu alhamdulillah abbanin yaba da ayyukan da kake yi kai rawar gani.
Abba gagar gaba
Ko cikin duhun maza ba za su bada ba. Dan farin gida. Gwamna gagar gasa. Don rikon ka ba irin rikon wancan ba. Ka ji gaskiya.
Abba kai zakara ne
Dan jinin ka ba irin jinin makara ba. Yayi mun gani. Burtali a jakura. Ka ji gaskiya. Wala uwar rike azara. Dan farin gida. Abba ya bage kirji ba za ya kyala saukowa ta kwan a ido ba. Ko na kurciya. Abba ne gwamna na.
Babban gida.
Ba da busa alina.
Yayi mun gani.
Yanzu alhamdulillah abba mun yaba da ayyukan da kake yi. Kai rawar gani.
Ina mazan suka ɓoye
Koko sun ga guguwar da ba su tarewa. Dan farin gida.
Abba ne da jakadu
Masu ajiye uzuri su yau dafawa. Ka ji gaskiya.
gishiri da zuma dai
Mai hada su hankalinsa ya yi kadawa. Yayi mun gani rukunin matasa. Ba ruwan mu da wasa. Mu muna tafiya ne kwai da kwarkwata kuma duk wahala sai mun yi juriya. Abba ne gwamna na.
babban gida.
Sani na.
Yayi mun gani.
Yanzu alhamdulillah abba mun yaba da ayyukan da kake yi.
Haja Abba na kowa
Mai gidanmu dole zamani ya gwada ka. Dan farin gida. Jamurai gaba gwanki kai kake da rundunar zubar da mayaka. Ka ji gaskiya.
masada sun haƙura
Sun ga babu yanda za su iya taɓa ka. Yayi mun gani. Abba dai abban ne. Ka ji gaskiya. Kuma jan zaki ne. Farin gida. Madugu fitila ta ko ina a yanzu kai kake haskakawa kama da walƙiya. Abba ne gwamna na.
babban gida.
Madugu sani na.
Yayi mun gani.
Yanzu alhamdulillah abba mun yaba da ayyukan da kake yi kai rawar gani.
Sai ku je ku ci ma'agi
Mun ci uban su yanzu ba su da baki. Dan farin gida.
madugu jigo ne.
Ƙara watsa sansanin su gamji mayaki. Ka ji gaskiya.
Igiyar ruwa murɗe ni
Ni kadai na san gwanin da za ya haye ki. Yayi mun gani. Ga su can a dimauce. Kuma kansa a kwance.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner of Education. We would like to thank you for your commitment and for your leadership. We'd like to appreciate the presence of Honorable Commissioner for Planning and Budget, Kano State. And we appreciate the presence of all our dignitaries who has been here from morning till about this time, having unveiled the framework of GREB. The chairman of this occasion is none other one, the very person that we've introduced you in the morning, the teacher, Malam Tajuddin Gambo, is the very person that is sitting on the mantle of the leadership of the chairman of the day. And on his permission, I would like to invite for a paper presentation, which is today's lead paper. And this paper is going to dwell on issues of education emergency, as is titled, From Emergency to Reform, Sustaining the Gains in Girls' Education. And the person to lead us in this paper today is an education reformer, an part in monitoring and evaluation and education reform management. In the former, a former specialist that worked in the education center as sector for more than 10 years, as well as reforming sectors of education in neighboring countries, Liberia, to mention a few. Let me invite Malam Haladu Muhammad, the technical advisor to the Kano State Governor on Education Reform, for that lead paper. Please let's appreciate Malam Haladu Muhammad. Thank you.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. The Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Education, and his counterpart from Planning and Budget, colleagues, advisors, please allow me to adopt the protocol already established. I am asked to reform and how we can sustain the gains of the reform. Sometimes it's not easy to ask a pastor to preach to the Pope himself. But we'll try. Form right in front of me. I have the sustainer of that reform right in front of me. And I'm asked to talk about it. I have given you talking up soon. But I would like to observe that education reform in Kano State is it has been happening in waves from history. Please remember that Kano State had been the pioneer in education reform in this country. There are many fundamental reform efforts and products escalated to the national level from the Kano example. For those, the Universal Education Mission model started from Kano when we attempted to centrally manage our own primary education. They saw how successful it was, and that was adopted nationwide. The National Mass Education Commission built on the example from Kano State. It got adopted nationwide, and we are where we are today with that. I see Dr. Murtala Mohammed right in front of me. The National Education Management Information System, established at the national level, started from the Kano Suburb example. So we are really not new to reforms that have become successful and they get extra-elected to the national level. But back in history, it started from a number of other reforms. There was a period of resistance, I will call. This was the time when education itself was resisted. Western education as it is, not just girls' education. It was a time when no amount of cajoling or convincing have their kids enroll in school. I remember clearly in my own village, there were families that completely migrated out of simply because a child in the household was enrolled in school. Overnight, such families packed everything they had and left the state to date. So we had that situation at that time. And many reforms came to be to see how we will convince our people to go to school. Let me give you my own example. I was enrolled into primary school in 1970. During that time, nobody agreed in my village to have his or her child enrolled. The Emir of Kano then had to come up with a wonderful idea. He sent the district head, who went to our villages, gathered all the village leaders in 3 categories. 1, the village heads. 2, the richest person in the village. And 3, the imams. 3 people from each village were gathered. And he told them, we are going to start a school. I'm not asking you to enroll any child from any home. But from each of your homes, give me 1 child. That's how I got enrolled. We pioneered that school. About 36 of us were assembled in the first class from 7 villages surrounding that place. And only 4 were girls. But we were happy because in some neighboring schools, there was no girl at all. But the focus that time was really not girls. The focus was students in the class, whoever they were. And most of us were boys. It was later that the focus on girls' education began to emerge when we had sufficient number of everybody in the class. So such fundamental reforms championed by our traditional leadership and political leadership at that time started the schools we have now that seem to be multiplying into something very serious. Look at that. The next wave of reform was the UPE. In 1976, that program was launched. I want you to look, I cut some few numbers there. From 1969 to 1976-77. If you look at the number of schools from 1969 up to 1974-75, they were increasing very, very slowly. 251, 275, they are increasing very, very slowly. Look at the number of pupils in those schools. 53,000, 62,000, 81,000. They are also increasing slowly. Mark you, I'm talking of Kano State that is now Kano and Jigawa states. Increasing very, very slowly. But something dramatic happened in the transition between 1975 and 1975-76. The number of our schools jumped from 678 to 2,724 the following year. It must have been something dramatic. And that was the launch of the UPE. Enrollment quickly jumped from 160,000 to almost 500,000. That was dramatic. That was the first attempt at a very serious reform in our education system. It saw dramatic increase in the number of schools, dramatic increase in enrollment. Next. Now, 1999 to 2015. Who was our governor in 1999? Who was our governor? Dr. Rabi Umusa Kwankwaso. That was the beginning of fundamental reform. What did he do? Aggressive access expansion. That was the time we saw the highest number of pupils being enrolled in school. Dramatic infrastructural improvement. Structural community integration into education. What did he do? Consider the school feeding program. When every child was assured of one meal, at least, in the school. That attracted a lot of students. School uniform, teaching learning materials, infrastructure, teacher recruitment. And then all of these were rooted in the communities. What did he do? CRC, the CRC concept. Every local government, probably every village, had a CRC committee. These are prominent people in that area who championed growth, who renovated infrastructure, who asked parents to send their kids to school, who even contributed to the school feeding. So each of those things done by the governor was rooted in community participation. That was why it lasted long. It was not just government. Everybody was involved. Everybody was doing it. That's why we went to where we were. Next slide. Now, declaration of state of emergency was done by our present governor in 2024. What did he do? Funding more teachers. We just heard from the Honorable Commissioner for Budget that 2024, 29% of the budget went to education. 2025, 31%. And we just heard, even in 2026 that will come, education will have the higher percentage than any other ministry. We just finished putting together the annual school census for this year. Look at the breaking news. We now have a total of over 4 million children just in primary school. If you put that with secondary schools, we have over 5 million children in school. Do you know the population of some of our, not only states, countries in West Africa? I know of a country that is only 5,100,000 people. The entire country Well, Mutala can say it. Countries that are this number. But in Kano, only school children constitute that number. So I was not surprised when somebody said Kano is a country. Actually, Kano is almost a region. The good news is, of the latest figures we have, of the 4,120,314 students in primary school, 1,985,000 are boys, but 2,135,000 are girls. So now in Kano, girls constitute 52% of our school, primary school population. So all of the efforts going into girls' education interventions, like observed by the Deputy Governor, we are beginning to see the fruit. But let me warn, this is primary school. We still have a lot more work to do in senior secondary schools and tertiary education institutions. We are moving gradually to those levels. But we also need to do a lot of work to maintain and improve upon this. I'm sure Malala Fund will be so happy to hear that we are not only aiming at parity in primary schools in Kano now. No, we are saying boys need to work harder to catch up with the girls. Next. So, since the emergency declaration, what happened? We declared that emergency in 2024. And since then, you see a number of things happening. I can categorize them into funding, for example, targeted funding. We had how a lot more resources are going into education. And with the adoption of the gender budgeting system, we are assured that money will only not be more available, but it will be more appropriately channeled into clear intervention areas that will allow us get to where we want to be on specific issues. So I would like to see more money going into girls' education, senior secondary school, more money going into girls or women education at the tertiary education level. That way, we surely be working towards a more enhanced and more targeted girls' education intervention at all levels. Then, infrastructure. Provided money and provided a lot of infrastructure. We just heard, for example, that not only are we renovating schools, but we are building new ones. I recently was asked a question. When you have so many schools dilapidated, why are you wasting your money building new ones when you have not finished rehabilitating the old ones? And I told that person that in his own house, probably there were 3 at the beginning, and now there are 13. If the house has always had only 4 bedrooms, when you get to the 13 number, you are approaching 15 next year. Will you add another structure, or you continue to paint the 4 bedroom you have? We have to take care of the additional population that is coming up. So we have to go to new places. Settlements are coming up where there was none. So we had to take care of the need in those areas and build new schools. So while hand in hand, we are renovating, we shall also build new ones to take care of the emerging needs. So infrastructure, funding, and then, can we go next? Policy and system strengthening. Again, Murtala, you will tell me that if our system remains as it is over the years without fundamental reform, then we cannot be able to change anything in the actual. Our policy and system strengthening process is seeing us coming up with needed policies, needed laws, and reviewing the existing policies to fit our present need. You can list a number of them. For this forum, I will say the Kano Girls Education Policy is relevant. It has just been approved, and we are applying it. The Gender Equity and Social Inclusion Policy is approved by the governor, and we are applying it. The Teacher Development Policy, this is fundamental. Fundamental in the sense that we used to have teachers being added to the system, but you still find there are no teachers where they are needed the most. You go to our rural schools, teachers were not adequate. You come to urban schools, in some places, we have overstaffed the schools. This is simply because teachers find it difficult to get deployed to rural areas and they go. We needed to do something. We were told incentives will do, meaning give rural allowance to teachers and they will rush to the rural areas. We have done that. They are not rushing. Even if you give rural incentive in the salary for teachers, they don't go to rural areas anymore. The new teacher development policy is now allowing us to recruit teachers where they are needed. So if you need teachers in Sumaila, recruit them in Sumaila. If you need teachers in Gordo, the deputy governor is gone, so I can give Gordo as an example. Recruit them in Gordo. Gone are the days from today when we will recruit you from Kano Municipal and we will post you to Dogwa. It's not going to happen anymore. And gone are the days when we'll be receiving lists from people for employment as teachers. I don't have to go into that detail there. You know, there are teachers that were employed that are not fit to be teachers at all. Because we have not selected them. We have not ensured that they can teach. With this policy now, there are minimum requirements, minimum tests you will have to pass to be considered as a teacher. So that policy is fundamentally changing the teacher composition environment in the state, is making available more teachers where they are needed. Let me tell you, the last people the Honorable Commissioner gave the permanent and pensionable offer at the stadium, that was targeted. Because of the number, only 40% were male teachers. 60% of them were female teachers. It has just been approved that we will take more teachers. The governor will not stop until wherever a teacher is needed, a teacher is provided, and a relevant teacher for that matter. Going forward, you will see us employing more female teachers than we employ male teachers. This is to make sure we just don't pronounce we are being gender sensitive or inclusive, but we'll practice it. Our policies are spelling that out, and we are trying to make sure we integrate and institutionalize these policies. So the direction we have taken in the reform is nothing will be done on the fly. You just don't say, oh, do this. It has to be rooted in policy, which is rooted and integrated in the management of education structure to ensure that going forward, not only us, but those coming would find it very difficult to change that. If there are certain things, if we have policies or laws, they wouldn't have changed. For example, we just had all or most of the girls' boarding schools in Kano were shut down by the last administration. Where is Kapinchiri? I saw him solving some crisis. At that time, our largest senatorial zone was Kano South. What happened to schools in Kano South? All girls' schools in Kano South were closed down. So it reached a crisis level where you have your girl child completing primary and junior secondary, but nowhere to go. I'm happy now, all the 13 that were closed down have now been reopened by His Excellency. So these policies are fundamental. Integrating them into the education management structure, institutionalize them, is fundamental. That's when we are sure the reform has taken its root. Next, let me not talk too much. How do we sustain this? How do we make sure that we are not losing ground again? One, we have to address our out-of-school children. We have been enrolling more, especially more girls in our primary schools, but the out-of-school children are polluting that environment for us. It is said we have about 1 million out-of-school children. But that figure is not going to be static. If we are not careful, next year, it will be over 1 million. The year after that, it will be approaching 1.5 million. If we have not taken the necessary steps now, we will end up with most of the youth out of school. To be honest, we have reached a situation now where out-of-school children are giving birth to out-of-school children. Your dad was out of school, and you follow out of school. Almost certainly, his grandchild might be out of school. That needs to be arrested, and arrested quickly. But how do we end up with so many out-of-school children? Two issues. I will share quickly and move. One, the population is increasing at a very rapid rate. Kano's population is increasing at 3.5 to 4%. Meaning, the number of babies born this year is more than the number of children enrolled into school, primary one, this year. So if you have a positive balance there, it adds to out of school. Here you are. Every child at age 6 need to be enrolled in primary one. So the kids you give birth to this year, in 6 years, we have to have a way of enrolling them all into primary school, or they become out of school. The current rate of our enrollment into primary one is below the number that we give birth to each year. So we end up piling up more out-of-school children every year. What do? I'm not going to say reduce the number of children you give birth to. Many will resist, right? Many will resist. When you say, give birth to less number of kids, or don't give birth to any kid anymore until we finish mopping up the ones we have in the streets. I don't think people will agree with that option. The next feasible option is to make sure our system enrolls into primary one each year a number that is slightly above the number of new babies born that year. If we go that way, probably in 10 years' time, we'll get to a situation where every child at 6 each year gets into primary one, and we don't have any excess child roaming the street. When we reach that level, then we'll have 0 out-of-school children. Maybe we can do that with additional resources as we are getting. But if I say don't give birth again, it might constitute some problem. Now, when we address out-of-school children, we continue engaging our communities, sensitizing them, integrating them into the school process, ensuring parents understand, and they do contribute to the education of their own children. If we are able to do that, education becomes everybody's business. It's no longer just the money we get from Ministry of Budget and Planning that will work for us. No. It will be that plus contributions from our communities. And that way, I believe, probably all the resources will be available to make sure that the education we need is the education we manage. Awareness campaigns, as we are doing now, we shall continue with to make sure we get to that level. Probably finally, next, in conclusion, is to say the journey for girls' education in Kano is at a critical juncture. The emergency phase has rightly focused on drawing attention and providing immediate relief. However, the future hinges on the deliberate and collaborative construction of sustainable ecosystem for learning. Everyone else contributing to everyone else's effort to make sure our children go to school. This requires strong political will, long-term investment, and commitment to championing the rights and potentials of every girl and boy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That has been Malam Haladu Muhammad, the technical advisor to Kano State Governor on Education Reform, with our first paper today, our lead paper presenter. Please, a round of applause for him one more time for that excellent presentation. As we prepare to move to the next item on our agenda, which is going to be the panel, I would recognize a few presences here. First, the Acting Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Budget and Planning, Malang Ajumawa. We recognize your presence, sir. And then the Senior Special SSA to His Excellency the Executive Governor on Nomadic Education, Honorable Sani Yelo Gurja. Malang Alhatu Salihu Maijimiri, Kano State Chairman, Parent Teachers Association. And someone who I call a good friend and a sister, Honorable Hafsat Adhama, SSA Girl Child Education. And also not forgetting Professor Garba Balabello, the Dean, Dangote Business School. And also Hassan Ibrahim Gama, the State Coordinator, CSA, CFA. And last but not least at this juncture, my very good friend and elder brother, Dr. Murtala Adogi Mohammed, who is also a presenter today, and the founder, System Strategy and Policy Lab. It's an honor to have all of you here. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, would move to the next item on our agenda, which is going to be the first panel of the day. The panel is titled Sustaining Gains in Girls' Education. to be delivered by our excellent panelists and moderators. So I will call on the panelists first and then call on the moderator to join them on stage. Our first panelist on this panel is Fatima Aliyu, who is Gender Equality, Social Inclusion, and Safeguarding Advisor with FCDO Plain Project. A round of applause for her. Fatima serves as the Gender Equality and Social Inclusion and Safeguarding Advisor on the FCDO-backed Partnership for Learning Education Plain program in Kano State. In this role, she ensures that education interventions are sensitive to the needs of marginalized girls and vulnerable students, safeguarding their rights and promoting inclusion in all project activities. Please, a round of applause for Fatima Aliyu as she joins us on stage. Our next panelist is Professor Mariam Mansour Yola. Professor Mariam Mansour Yola is the Deputy Dean of Student Affairs at Bayero University, Kano, and a member of the University Senate. She's a renowned linguist and passionate advocate for girl child education and empowerment, with a strong commitment to promoting education for underprivileged children, particularly in rural areas. She's made significant contributions to the field of education. That is Professor Mariam Mansour Yola. Our third panelist is none other but Dr. Yakubu Muhammad Anas, who is the Managing Consultant and CEO of USFA Education and Development Limited. Dr. Yakubu drives impactful projects that revolutionize education across Nigeria, with extensive experience in collaborating with national and international agencies. He developed a robust network spanning all 6 geopolitical zones. A round of applause for him. And he doubles as the chairman organizing committee of Kano Girls Education Summit. Our next panelist is Dr. Tajuddin Gambo. Dr. Tajuddin Gambo is a special advisor to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State on education. He's a respected education specialist and researcher with an extensive background in policy analysis, program design, and evaluation in the education sector. Former teacher, former vice principal, former principal, former director, former permanent secretary, and former honorable commissioner. It's great to have you, sir. And the last but not least, I would call on the moderator of this panel, a remarkable young woman and a very good friend of mine, Makia Suleiman Muhammad. She's a gender and education policy specialist. Makia's work sits at the intersection of gender equality, education, and education reform, and public health also. She has contributed to transformative policy wins in northern Nigeria, including the free and compulsory education policy in Kano, 2021, the domestication of the Child Protection Law, 2023. Her portfolio spans high-impact programs supported by Gates Foundation, MasterCard, and many others. This panel is going to discuss sustaining gains in girls' education, and it's going to be a rider to the lead paper presentation we had earlier. I would also implore everybody to, especially our students, whom we're all here for, everybody on this stage and everybody seated right in front of me is here because of you. So I would implore you to please listen attentively to what they are going to say. Let's reduce the noise, please. I would hand over to Makia Suleiman, the moderator, to continue.
Thank you. Ahmed is not coming out. All right, is it okay? Thank you so much, Ahmed. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Thank you so much, Ahmed, and good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to welcome you to this important discussion on sustaining gains in girls' education. So over the years, we've known Kano State, like many parts of Nigeria, has made remarkable progress in improving access to education for girls. We've seen major policy wins, community advocacy, and partnership that have brought girls into the classroom than ever before. And we've seen how access is only the first step. The real question now is, how do we sustain these gains? How do we ensure that every girl not only enroll, but she transition, she thrives in a safe, inclusive learning environment? So welcome our panelists. It's great to have you here. So we'll just begin by a short opening from each of our panelists, reflections on what sustaining gains in girls' education mean within their work. So I will invite the panelists to speak for 1 minute, and after which we will go through a guided discussion and then open room for discussion by the audience. I'm going to begin with Malang Tajuddin Gambo. Over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. To sustain the gain so far, we have to do two things. Okay, like I said, to sustain these gains, we have to do two things at least. First, enact laws that will ensure that the policies on girls' education are being implemented. Second, we have to involve communities, because communities will ensure things continue. Like, for instance, we have schools owned by communities. These schools are well managed because they are there, they own them. So whatever we have now in our own state in terms of girls' education, we have to involve communities. Open schools, let communities open schools and maintain them, manage them. Then the state government can be able to give in some assistance in terms of teachers, teaching materials, and so on. Once they are involved, you find that things will continue as it is should. But the laws are important. For instance, when we have SUBEB, State Universal Basic Education, there's law guidance take care of it. It's being sustained. Like the education, like girls' education policy, once it's been approved, certainly the gains will be sustained. These are two main things that has been done to make sure that what you have gone so far in girls' education is being sustained.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful reflection within your workspace on what sustaining the gains mean. I would like to invite Hajia Fatima on the 1 minute to tell me what sustaining gains means within the work you do at Plain. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? All right, so I think for me, sustaining the gains we've made is really looking at the value that we place in girls' education. And how do we translate this value into implementable interventions that actually impact the girls? So what are the things that make it easier for girls to go to school? And what are the things that make it easier for girls to stay in school? And what are the things that make it easier for girls to not only be in school, but to actually thrive in school? And how are we embedding a lot of the progress that has been made, both on the government side and from donor organizations, how are we embedding them into government systems? So through policies, through funding, through gender-responsive infrastructure, so around menstrual hygiene, around ensuring that toilets are gender-friendly, around ensuring that we have teachers, female teachers in school that offer better representation for girls. So I think when girls feel safe in school, when girls feel included in school, when girls feel that they can participate in school, I think it's easier to sustain the gains. The value for education must be placed on the side of the girls, not on the side of the implementers or government. So our girls benefiting from the things that we do, and how are we practicalizing a lot of the theories and a lot of the interventions that we're developing. So for me, that's how to sustain the gains. Thank you.
So much for that wonderful contribution. Dr. Anas, I'm sure you're eager to tell me what sustaining the gains mean, especially in your work in inclusive learning, especially for women and girls with disability and in marginalized community.
On my side, I think sustaining, first you have to understand what are the gains, right? The gains actually can be described as the inputs. What are the inputs being put in it, right? And then the impact of the input. And then, so in 3 stages. 1, what benefit the girls, what benefit the government, what benefit the society. So we want the girls to come to school. Is coming to school enough? No. We want them to stay in the school. Is stay in the school enough? No. We want them to learn. Is learning enough? No. We want them to transit, right? Is transiting from one station? No. We want them to improve and become better people. So the gains in all the developments, in all the government efforts are in terms of the finances, in terms of the policies, in terms of the actions that are being placed. So if girls are coming to school, that's a gain. The girls are learning, that is a gain. But who sustains that one? The parents will make sure that children are coming to school, and the communities will have to support them to do that one. And then the government will have to continue to put the required input. Because if the girls are coming to school, as we see in some projects, there will be an improvement. The girls are coming. After the project, things could stop and begin to deteriorate. So the sustaining of gains means ensuring that whatever input is there is continued and is continually improved to sustain that one.
So much, Dr. Anas. Professor Maria, with your vast experience in higher education, I would love to hear what your reflections are pertaining our topic for today.
Can you hear me? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Honestly, I'm going to look at it at the tertiary institution view. Being in the university, you see, sustaining girls in school, we say maybe girls or women in the tertiary institution. You look at the economic factor. There are a lot of serious economic factors. The economic factor that most of the girls, there are 2 or 3 factors: economic, cultural, and structural. The economic factor is that most of these girls that come to tertiary institutions, most of them are married. They have kids, they have family, but how do they sustain with those family they have and the kids and even the husbands? First and foremost, I have to look at the husbands. The farko sai kun ji tsoron Allah maza, because the girls want to participate, want to have the education, but most of them come to school with their babies. They come to school with maybe some things to sell so that they can be sustained. They need transportation, need money for transport. And for example, here in Bayero University, we have a creche, or let's say nursery. Most of the students come with their children to school, which is not permitted. But the university provided a creche for them or a nursery for them where they can keep their babies. Most especially during exams, you find out that we, the teachers, turn out to be nannies because the mother is writing exam. You have to help her carry the child, nurse the child, and be patting the baby so that the mother will be able to write her papers. So I think the state government should look into this to take, for example, Any mother that comes to school with her baby, it seems that even at home, she cannot afford to pay the nanny, or she cannot afford to do anything to take care of the child. She cannot be able to pay the money for the creche in the university. I think it's about 7,500. Most of them cannot afford to pay that. I'm suggesting or I'm pleading to the state government to please, and please thank God the Commissioner for Education and Budget are here. They should provide a budget for just the female students, just like the MacArthur Foundation. MacArthur Foundation have a budget, or they have maybe for female students that are doing their PhD, MacArthur is giving them support. So I think, as we know, Kano State is always a pilot state in so many things in education. Can you please look at this on the side of the female students, most especially those that are married? When you look at the ratio, about 70% of the female students that are in the tertiary institutions are married due to our culture and our religion that are interwoven. You cannot segregate the two. As far as a lady is concerned in the northern part of the country, she should be in school, and at the same time, most of us are being married out and with families. So I think the state government should look into that and provide, even if it is going to be a stipend, for the female students studying at the tertiary institutions, both the polytechnics and the universities we have across the state, so that they can have something to support them. That is where the sustainability will come and the gain will also come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Mariam. Thank you to all our panelists for that insightful opening remarks. We've heard about progress, persistence, and promise, and often it requires structure, financing, and accountability. So now let's deepen the conversation into a more guided session. So my first question to you, sir, again, the special advisor to the governor on education. Of course, we've seen remarkable and notable reforms from the free and compulsory education policy to child protection law, but sustaining these gains often depends on how consistently these commitments are implemented and funded. So my question goes like this. How is the state government ensuring that investment in girls' education go beyond one-time intervention to long-term systemic reforms?
Well, you see, monitoring of the implementation is the most important thing. It's one thing you do a budget, you plan. If it's not being monitored properly, certainly that you find that implementation will not be possible. Sustaining is also a problem. There are mechanisms for the for monitoring, like the Ministry of Budget is monitoring all aspects of budgetary things. In the Ministry of Education too, there are departments monitoring all what is supposed to be done. House Assembly too, they do monitor implementation of budget. But there's need for involvement of more outside these areas, like SBMC, CRC, Community Relations Committee, and also PTA. If they are involved more, you find that they will ensure whatever is being planned as a policy is being implemented. That we don't leave it only to the government aspect. Involvement of the community in ensure that implementation of this can help us very well.
Thank you so much, sir. What I'm hearing is there is need for co-ownership within the community for these gains to be sustained. So I'll move to Hajia Fatima as a development partner, like Plains and others, have been instrumental in strengthening education system in Kano. So from your perspective, what proven strategies have helped ensure that gains in girls' education, such as increased enrollment or retention, are sustained even after donor support phase out?
So I think for Plain, which is the intervention that I work with, one of the things we've been trying to do is to ensure that we, especially in the last year or two, we haven't been directly implementing projects, but we've been strengthening the systems of government to do this. And I think this is critical. I think it's critical for donor organizations to be less implementers and more enablers and supporters. So, and also working with the government around things like the MTSS, annual operation plans, and ensuring that budgeting is accessible and equitable. You know, these are some of the things that we've been working with. But I think at the end of the day, it's very, very critical that government sees donor organizations as transient organizations. These are organizations or partners that are not here forever. We're here to support government to do what government is meant to do, but enable them and build the capacity to do it. And I think for Plain, we've done that really well in the sense that we have developed very strong relationships with agencies like SUBEB. We've worked very closely with the local government education authorities, with the Quranic and Islamia Schools Board, and recently with SAMI, strengthening, coaching, mentoring, making sure that governments are in a better place to be able to implement these programs, but also making sure that we're creating an enabling policy environment. So we've talked about a lot of the policies today, the girl education policy, we talked about the gender policy, we're working on the safer schools policy, the non-school state policy. So not just about reviewing and adopting these policies, but working on implementation frameworks that are doable, that are realistic, and supporting government on how these policies will be implemented and how they translate to going from paper, but ensuring that, you know, they actually do improve the learning environment and experience for learners.
So much, Hajia Fatima. What I'm hearing, and I'm sure many of our participants and the executives here are saying, for sustainability in education, government needs to take ownership, if I'm right. So thank you so much for that insight. Moving on to Dr. Anas. Your work focuses on inclusive education for vulnerable and underserved learners, especially girls and children with special needs. So in your experience, how can Kano strengthen inclusion so that efforts to sustain gains in girls' education truly leave no one behind, particularly those in hard-to-reach or marginalized communities?
In terms of inclusion is critical in this sense. But what actually we realize is when the structures that are going to be supporting the participation of the needs of the learners. I am not talking about those with special needs, with disability, but even a girl that comes to school, maybe at the age of 12, might have some menstrual beginning, and would need that support. If it is not there, that's an issue. And then an issue of this with disability, most of the structures that are being built in schools are not favorable for even the adults, not the disabled. Because some children, I saw a school like in Bauchi, and I know there are some in Kano that have tiles. The moment water flows there, there's danger there. So those things have to be removed. Every barrier that is preventing a child from coming to stay in school must be removed. I know there are a lot of supports. Many projects like Pitila Project, Kano Socio-Emotional Learning, SPIN, and even Plain have been working a lot to ensure that inclusion goes. Even the materials that are being used. For girls, if you have less female teachers in the school, there's high tendency that they may not be comfortable in the school. So inclusion means the teachers should be provided to support inclusion. So when there's a role model, there's inclusion. And then the distance from schools had to be covered. But Kano State government is doing something at the metropolis, providing buses for girls. Then at the hard-to-reach areas too, there had to be a provision. It doesn't have to be cars. You can provide them with donkeys, with cars, that they can carry them to school and back. If you do that, you are making it inclusive for them to attend the school. And then in certain states, the Kano State government starts thinking of mobile schooling system, that the teachers should come. And then there had to be a collaboration between private partners and the community partners to ensure that
everybody is being given the right opportunity to attend school and to continue attending the school. So we have to consider what do we need in each of the locations and what can the government do. So I believe inclusion is not just about ability, disability. It's about the provision of the right atmosphere, right environment, right emotional opportunity for all of them to attend the schools.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anas, for that insightful conversation, reflection. So yes, I'm hearing there is need for stronger partnership between the public and private sector for sustainability. Professor Mariam, beyond basic and secondary school education, sustaining gains also mean ensuring smooth transition into higher education as well as leadership spaces. So what structural or cultural barriers still prevent girls from advancing and completing their higher education? And what lessons can we draw for earlier education levels? Thank you.
Okay. You see, you said structural, cultural, and even environmental barriers. There are a lot of barriers that hinder girl-child education. For example, when you say structural, you look at it from the sanitary aspect of it. You know, female or girls are shy at times during their menstrual period and they don't have sanitary facilities like the toilet. Initially, when we are in school, during our days, we were given sanitary pads and all sorts of things to take care of our sanitation. So sanitation is one of the key issues that can hinder girl-child education structurally. And even, you know, as I earlier said, the culture and religion are interwoven. We agree that females and males are not supposed to stay in one place. They should be segregated. So structurally, we should have a place for the girls and a place for the boys in the same class. While if a father is a cultural man, I mean, he doesn't believe in the Western education, he might pop in just to see how the child is doing, and he will see that they are not mixed together. I could remember in our days, our parents used to say they don't want mixed schools because almost all of us, almost everybody that is here from the 70s, 90s, we went to not mixed schools, just girls' schools, right from primary school, secondary school, we all went to, what do I call it, girls' school. So structurally, building infrastructure is very important. It hinders, number two. And when you look at it at the, not infrastructure, not the cultural view, the cultural hinders is that, you know, women or girls are not expected to be in school. It's boys that are, in those days, even there are in the rural areas, there are a lot of places that don't allow their girl child to go to school. They believe in homemaking or taking care of their siblings or street hawking. I think that is where the CCT comes in, conditional cash transfer. I could remember I was one time SUBEB chairperson. We introduced the CCT, conditional cash transfer, on the girl child education. But the issue is the money should go to the parents, not to the child. If you give the child the money, she can use it to buy phone, she can use it to do all sorts of things. So that also comes in. You need to support the parents to allow their children culturally to attend school. And when you look at the barrier that, okay, a woman should not go to school, not knowing that when women are in school, they help their own counterpart. For example, in the hospitals, we need women to take care of the women. Like in the school, we need mentoring. We need a lady. That is why we support, what do I call it, female teachers, so that the younger ones will look at them and say, okay, these ones, I want to be also a teacher because I adore social teacher. I could remember Malama Rabi is my teacher, and she's still my teacher. I used to say, I want to be like Malama Rabi Ishaq one day. Alhamdulillah, she's here. Thank you, Ma. She's my mom. She was my teacher, and she's still my teacher. So there are a lot of things that hinders environmentally. You know, we ladies, at times, when there is any climate change, the girl child will not even go to school at time. Environmentally, there are, even the security-wise, they said, okay, you are a girl, you are a female. You don't go out at so hour. You close by so hour and go back home at so hour. So this one also hinder, the education of a female child. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ma. Still, I want to put the pin on you again before I move to the next of my panelists. So, how can you mention mentorship, role models, employing more teachers, having structures in place that segregate both the female in one place and the men in one place, so that our teacher. Oh wow, am I audible now?
Okay.
All right. So, how can universities strengthen mentorship and psychosocial support to help more young women transition successfully from secondary school?
This is great. You see, university is not just for learning. A university is where you learn, you grow. There are a lot of things when you say a university is just a school to learn and just to read and write. You know, mentorship is very, very important. We structure mentorship in the university system. When you have somebody that you mentor, like I said, Malama Rabi has been my mentor. She wasn't in the university, but I see her from afar as my teacher. Likewise, in the university, I think that was why the university, when you are having a single honors, you are to write a dissertation. The dissertation will take you close to your lecturer, or even somebody that you adore, that you can learn from that person. You get a lot of knowledge from that person. So university is a place where you strengthen women on their own education by mentoring. Okay, most of us here are gains of female child education. Most of the women here attended tertiary institutions. If any one of us could tell them how they suffered their story, you will know that it's a long thing and it wasn't easy. So mentorship is very, very important in strengthening female education in the university. And what I mean, the society, we should create, and we are even creating, like this a program we are having, Girl Child. You see, there are a lot of students, I even called some of my students yesterday that they should come and attend. They are here attending. You know, this is also something that will give them moral support, and they will want to be inclusive, and they will want to be one of us one day. Okay, there was a day, somebody was asking me, Malama, they said professor. Is it professor? Is it Karshan Boko? I said, yes, Karshan Boko. I said, Nima, I want to be a professor. Neche, it's very easy. You can be a professor, but you have to learn very hard, but it's not difficult. Start from where you are. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Ma. So I'm going to ask one general question, which I want my distinguished panelists to all respond to. So how do you see, we've mentioned a lot of policies, we've mentioned partnership, we've mentioned how we want to hold these policies in terms of sustainability. So how do we make sure that inclusion is not an afterthought, but as foundation for sustaining the gains in girls' education in Kano State? So I will start with Hajia Fatima, and then we can walk through to Malan Tajuddin Gambo, the Honorable Advisor to the Governor on Education. Thank you.
Thank you. I think with inclusion, we have to be very intentional about it. It can't be, like you said, it can't be an afterthought, and it can't be a clickbait or like a byword. We have to be very intentional. An equitable education means that everybody has equal access. Boys, girls, marginalized, children with disabilities, whether you're rich, poor, black, white, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, big, tall, short, tall. It means that everybody has equal access to education. And I think one of the challenges that we have now is that things like gender, things like inclusion, things like safeguarding have become almost like clickbaits. They've become like catchphrases that people throw about in order to make either their interventions more palatable or to make it sound as though we're working. But in order for inclusion to be really intentionally practiced is what are the things that we need to put in place in our schools to make sure that our schools are gender responsive and also disability responsive. So we ask ourselves, what does a gender responsive school actually look like? What does it feel like? What does inclusion look like in school? What does it feel like? So if you have a young girl in crutches, are we making it easy for her to access school? Are we making it easy for her to participate in school? Are we making sure that she has the proper teaching and learning materials? Are we making sure that our teachers are trained not only to teach children who need to be included, but also to make sure that the other children in the school understand this? How are we creating that culture in schools that enables the marginalized child to feel included, but also making sure that other children in the school understand what it is like to support children who need to be included and who need to participate? So it needs to be intentional. So I really go back to, again, creating systems in governments that allows this to happen. Government needs to be intentional in implementing the frameworks of these policies, because within each of these policies, there is, the space for this to happen. So inclusion, gender responsiveness, safeguarding cannot be by words. They must be intentional, and they must be rooted in an enabling policy environment that allows this to happen. And that also means that there should be consequences for schools not implementing these interventions. So again, it goes back to system strengthening and goes back to intentional practices on behalf of government, on behalf of parents, on behalf of community, and on behalf of private sector partners. Thank you.
So much, Hajia Fatima. Professor Mariama, any last words from the same question based on your perspective from higher education?
On higher education, can you come, please?
Yeah, so the same question that how can we ensure that inclusion isn't an afterthought, but it is embedded within the foundation of education for girls so that we can sustain the gains that we've been working on?
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, as Hajia Fatima has already said, in tertiary education, inclusion, most of the students brought themselves to school. So including them in school, it means that as I earlier said, the state government should come in. The state government should come in the sense that they should please get a support. Most of the female students, as I said, are married with kids, family. They need support. They need support to continue their education. That is how the inclusive, it shouldn't be within a short time. It should be continuous. So that they reach to the level where they finish their school, get their degree, and know what they are looking for, in fact, after the studies. Is that what you mean?
Yes, thank you so much for that rich insight, Professor Maria. I can see Dr. Anas eagerly wanting to respond to this question. I'm sure he has a lot to say. Dr. Anas, over to you, please.
Okay, I think first and foremost, the policymakers and the implementers should understand that inclusion is not just about numbers. Inclusion is about impact. You can bring many girls to school, but if that impact, the change desired is not there, that's an issue. So we have to understand that it is about numbers and the impact. The GRAPE framework actually is one of the most wonderful frameworks I think that I worked with. It has not just looked at the increase in the numbers, but what are the supportive mechanisms that will ensure that when girls are brought into school are done this one. Starting from the budget. Formally, government make budget. Of course, they say we have girls' education, we have this. But with the GRAPE framework, now you have to understand how many girls do we need? How many do we have? Where do we go?
We have to start with that. So to sustain that one, actually, you have to know how many girls are there, and then what do we need to do. Also, it's not about a promise, but it's about fulfilling the promise. The government will make promises and let us ensure that the promises are being fulfilled. So it is the responsibility of the community, responsibility of the teachers in the school, responsibility of the government, and responsibility of every stakeholder. I know SBMC is doing a lot, but we need to do more to ensure this one. So that's very critical. Thank you.
Much, Dr. Anas. Malan Tajuddin Gambo, from the government perspective, can you share more light on that?
Well, one big thing that is making things difficult, the big barrier we have is the burden on government. If there are a lot of things, the burden is very high. Like if you take Kano State government, yesterday we were told that over 174,000 public schools in Nigeria, over 13,000 are from Kano. Kano has the highest number of schools in Nigeria under it as public schools. The public schools. If we take Lagos, they are next in population. They have more schools than we have. But the public schools in Lagos is only 1,600. 1,600. Kano having over 13,000. The burden is just too much. The only way out to ensure sustainability in the inclusion is to reduce the burden. How do you reduce the burden? We have to involve communities. Community schools have to be established, managed by the communities. Voluntary school must be established. Then the government can come in and assist in terms of providing some percentage of teachers. Unless we do this, look at 13,000 schools under one government in a state where in 1 month, the amount of salary paid in Subai is over 7 billion naira. You go to schools, you see the derivation, the number of teachers. When this government came in, over 400 schools, we have just one teacher. Only when we do that, will the government be able to do the right thing to sustain whatever is our policy. Otherwise, certainly, we are going to have a lot of problems. It will take us long time to really sustain what we have started. Thank you.
So much, sir. And thank you to our distinguished panelists for such rich, insightful discourse, and for, of course, for our audience that have been thoughtfully listening into this conversation. So what we've heard today is that sustaining gains in girls' education isn't just about one-time intervention. It's about a system that listens, that invests, and that follows through. So thank you all again, like I said. So from this conversation, there are some clear messages that stood out as they were talking. Financing matters. Equitable budgeting is not just about numbers, but it's about priorities. We've also heard that partnership matters. The government, the school, the community. We must all move in collaboration to a true co-ownership. I've also heard that voice matters, like our student here. Girls must remain at the center of these reforms, not just as beneficiaries, but as co-architects, co-owners of this education system we want to sustain. So let us not live here just inspired, but accountable, right? To act, to track, to sustain the gains we've worked so hard for. Thank you, everyone. No, I want a resounding applause for my panelists. I cannot hear it. I cannot hear it. No. Yes. Keep it going. They stand up. It's not easy to be on this panel. So please keep clapping for my panelists till they take a bow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Makia. Sir, could you stay for the photo session? Makia, join them. This photo session. May I also invite the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Education, to join them. the Honorable Commissioner Ministry for Budget and Planning to also join them on stage, and the Honorable Minister, ably represented by the Technical Advisor, and Managing Director, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. Please join them on stage for a photo session. That has been our first panel of the day, Gains in Girls Education, by our amazing panelists, Fatima Aliyu, Professor Mariam, Dr. Yakubu, Dr. Tajuddin, and our able moderator, Makia Suleiman. So many takeaways, but my key takeaway is education is, especially girls' education, is everybody's responsibility, from the government to the parents to civil society organizations and to every active citizen. It's everybody's responsibility, and each and every one of us has a role to play. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellencies, with your kind permission, the next item is break. We'll be taking a short break for prayers and lunch, about 30 minutes. And Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, we'll come back at 2:30, exactly 2:30, by the grace of God. We have amazing activities. We have another panel and another lead paper presentation and a fireside chat also that will discuss disability and education. All of this are going to come after we come back from the break. So as we break, please let's keep in mind the time is just 30 minutes. So we can remain here. Food is going to be served here. Everybody can remain on their seat. Food is going to be served here, and once we are served, we can stay here and eat and then go and pray after that. But please, let's do that within 30 minutes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll break here and come back in 30 minutes, inshallah. Thank you.